So Coffee Dave, you're making, what are you making?
It's going to be a couple of small cappuccinos here, I believe. Yeah. Now that's if I can get this, get this foam just right here, right off the bat.
Now,
That's so good.
this is the mini mazer. This is the mini mazer. That's what it's called, a mini mazer.
Yes, the miniature commercial grinder.
So what's the main one called? The mazer?
I think it's a Jolly.
A Jolly mazer?
I have no idea.
So this is kind of like the mini Mazzy.
This is sort of like the mini Mazzy, yeah. Mazzy Jolly of some kind. Yeah. Just do this real fast. You know, always wipe the steaming wand off. Right? Do not use the scrubby, the abrasive part of it, of course. And then, all right, here we go. When we let that milk, this foam settle on that action. Here we go. Let's see. Can we do it? About level? What do you think? I'm thinking right about that.
You're the,
Whoops.
I thought you were an expert, aren't you? you're
We go like that. You don't want to compress any of that into the gasket, right? Boom. Boom. You get straight into the cup because it's just easier. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a little slippage. We got a little drippage.
A little bit.
Do we need Depends with this? Is that a thing?
I think you're gonna need to pull out the box. Yeah. You know, get them primed.
Clean it.
It's a different kind of priming.
Okay.
There we go. All right. So probably could do a bit better on that if we had to, but
So
let's try.
Rob's gonna help you out.
Gasket too,
I have one, so someday you can come over.
because it's leaking.
That's like a lot. I mean, you guys.
No, because you want to.
Okay, I don't do anywhere near that.
What you want to do is make it so it's kind of like this, so it's about level.
Then
I
I
mean,
dump the excess in the top there. Usually.
Yeah, 7 grams is about what you're supposed to do for a. But I mean, that's if you're being
So-
super precise. You don't really need to be that precise. But will it work? This will flow better. There we go.
That's better. It's got a few little drips, but okay.
It's actually.
That's much better.
It's your coffee too, I think.
Yeah, this is not my Grafeo.
Yeah.
You know, this is not your mother's Grafeo. There's no shroud of Jesus in the foam. That's okay.
Yeah, look at that. Oh, they're not even quite.
That's fine. I'll have the smaller one.
This is called my out of the gate.
Well, thank you, Coffee Dave.
test my-
What is this record?
So far, this is the best one I've come across. This is a really cool Sonny Rollins and contemporary leaders. It's got Barney Kessel, Hampton Hawes, Leroy Vinegar, Shelley Mann.
Okay.
This is in really nice shape. It's an original pressing on contemporary labels,
Okay, cool.
Hollywood labels. So
Cool. I'm just,
doing some lookups and
Thank you.
labels.
great. Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Dave.
Yes.
I think I don't have a single album by the band Yes.
You need Fragile.
Yeah.
The Yes album.
The Yes album, Fragile.
Yes album, Fragile.
One thing do not get, no matter who tells you, Prog people tell you to buy.
Topographic Ocean.
Yeah, you got it. Tales of a Topographic Ocean
It's a yarn.
single-handedly destroyed the entire Prog, what do you call it, genre.
Yeah.
It's a terrible album.
Destroyed.
Roger
There's a
D.
movement afoot, and then they completely they
Roger,
by their own
okay, we're
egotistical
squinting now.
hands.
Look at this view here. We're on Lake. Look at this. This is so beautiful. We're on Lake Union.
It's a nice view, man.
It's Lake Union.
This is the doctor's condo here when he's up in Seattle. He usually lives in Portland, and oh my God, this is amazing. I got a whiskey. You have a whiskey, and
I do.
you have a sparkling water.
boring
But
water.
we're talking about music. Let's talk about music because it's a music stupid. What have you been listening to, boys, lately? Dave, Coffee Dave.
Let's see. What did I just put on recently? It's so random. Just throwing it on.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that makes sense.
Everything.
No, but is there anything like recently you've been putting on, maybe more than once even?
It's a lot of Wes Montgomery that I've been.
Really?
Yeah, lately.
Now the CTI stuff or the like California Dreamin'.
California Dreamin'.
Oh,
It's
really?
for 60s stuff, but again, it's not. In full disclosure, some of it's digital because it just
Oh,
you know,
CDs.
CDs,
Okay,
yeah,
that's
that I just
fair.
got. Yeah, and it's some REM too, but that's been part of the digipack factor.
So you have a lot of records, but you're not averse to compact discs.
No, in fact, I'll listen to them when I'm doing.
And you got a
stuff.
whole name system.
Yeah, the CDX has a pretty analog sound, but the CD player, so it sounds. I mean, it's easy listening when you're doing stuff. You know, if you're doing tasks around the house, CDs are easier.
Yeah.
You just put them in, you do stuff. So if I'm not doing something that's task oriented, and I have more time, then vinyl would definitely be on
What
that.
the fuck? Look, we got a seaplane.
Good enough, like you
Wow.
So there've been so many musicians and acts that I really like that have been passing away lately, and
So you're into a dead mode, a dead artist mode?
well,
Like
yeah.
Astrid Gilberto?
Well, Astrid Gilberto would be one of them for sure.
The guy from the Smiths, Andy Rourke?
No, that wasn't on my list, but I don't have much of the Smiths. I don't know. That's
You don't have much of this.
I really don't. It's still a blank spot with me. It's still a blank spot. Even 50 years in terms of record collecting, I'm still got some blank spots. But Astrid Gilberto, I really have always liked, and Tony McPhee of the Groundhogs has recently passed away.
Oh, he did die, right.
I love the Groundhogs, and I found his.
Now, what do you? Okay, let me ask you this. This is more of an aesthetic thing rather than music. I know it's the music stupid, but I have an aesthetic thing because I'm a bald guy. What's this thing with the bald and then you got long hair back here?
Me? I'm not bald.
No, not you. But didn't that guy McPhee he had long hair and he was bald?
Did he?
And this was when he was like 16.
You're not talking about me though, right?
No, not you.
Okay.
The guy from the
You're not
Groundhogs.
talking about me, right?
Isn't that?
I'm
okay.
balding. I'm balding. I'm not bald.
Wait a second, Doc. That one I have a couple Groundhogs record, but that one with the close up of the face, that's him.
Yeah.
And he's bald.
Yeah,
with,
I know the
he's
one.
bald with long
But
hair.
that's not. That is actually.
Isn't that him?
Well, it is him, but it's not the Groundhogs. That is his divorce record. I'm trying to remember the name of it.
It's not a Groundhogs record.
I don't think it is. It's the one that has the.
I don't know about
tears,
that. I just know it's a close up of his face.
Yeah.
And he looks like a bald guy with long hair. Why fucking pretend? If you're bald, you're bald. Don't give this long hair shit in the back.
Don't judge. Don't judge.
It's an opinion. It's not a judge. It's an
don't
opinion.
know. I
I've,
don't
I've
know.
made a point that I'm going to make my hair will all be.
You got good hair. You're,
I'm
You got the best
for a
hair of all of us.
53-year-old, you
the
got
best
good
hair.
hair.
Of all of us, man.
54.
No, we're all jealous, Dave. You got the
54.
best hair. You got the best hair.
Is it the caffeine that keeps your hair like that?
For the moment, I guess, yeah. I'm banking on caffeine as being my one savior.
Okay, so what
I
else,
will-
Dr. Bob, Dr.
So
Robert?
Gilberto and the Groundhogs, and I have been listening to a lot of kind of old jump blues. I've been listening to some Big Joe Turner.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's good stuff.
I mean, I like that
Switching
stuff.
in
It
the
is
kitchen.
good, and
Switching in the kitchen?
Yeah.
Switching in the kitchen,
And
ready for the party tonight.
I was just out in Kansas City,
Wow.
right? So going
Coffee
to Kansas
Dave
City,
has the blues, man.
Yeah. So I will tell you, it's just not about listening, but I was just out in Kansas City visiting a very close friend who's dealing
Hey,
with,
hey.
Yeah, hey.
But that's a different song.
Going to Kansas City. I mean, Kansas
You know
City.
the whole story about that? The Beatles did it, right? And after 20 years after the Beatles did Hey in Kansas City, whatever, it turns out, I think, what's his name? Not
Kansas
Little
City.
Stevie, Little Richard. They had to change the publishing because in the middle of Kansas City, he does a different song, McCartney's, the Beatles. So that publishing wasn't originally credited to the hey part. Isn't that Little Richard? Hey.
It might
I forgot.
be.
Kansas City is not Little Richard, but the song Kansas City is that Lieber and Stoller?
Wilbert Harrison
Wilbert.
has one. I don't know. I mean,
Anyway, there's a publishing thing about that song.
Yeah.
Cool story.
Yeah, it is cool. You
I
know,
totally interrupted you, and people are
No.
going to comment that I
don't
interrupted
mind.
Dr. Robert
Hey,
talking
hey,
about
look, we have
Big
a
Joe
thing.
Turner.
We have a thing. No, I mean it's
We
not
have
just
a
Big
thing.
Joe Turner. I mean Kansas City. I mean, when I was out there, I visited the Jazz Hall of Fame. The American Jazz Hall of Fame is housed in Kansas City. It was started 20 years ago by an African American mayor out there, whose last name was Cleaver, and I'm not going to remember his full name, but
Eldridge?
he may be related to Eldridge. It's definitely
Beaver?
It's not Eldridge Cleaver.
Or Beaver Cleaver?
No, it's not Beaver Cleaver.
Ward?
No. But I got to say, I carried away some very strong positive impressions of Kansas City. And Kansas City, one of the things, it's a music town. It was a music town. It was like New Orleans back in the day. I mean, it was an important jazz city. Of course, Charlie Parker, Count Basie came from there. And the bigger theme was these, it was really important in the civil rights movement. And it doesn't get the acknowledgement, or at least I wasn't aware of it, as a city where there was a significant political movement by the African American community there that really moved civil rights forward. And it's connected to jazz music.
There we go.
Different than Tulsa.
So, okay, we started out here talking about you don't have any Yes. You love Yes and King Crimson. Talk about the Prog thing, because some of the people that watch
I'm
my
gonna go put
channel.
some music on.
Okay,
I don't mean to interrupt.
It's okay. No, it's okay. We'll get a copyright strike here.
I'll keep it
It's okay.
toned down.
So, I like Prog, but people think I don't like Prog because I like to mock. Isn't Prog one of the best musical genres to mock?
Yeah, it's the most colorful of the genres to mock, only because of the fact that it is sort of this, pompous sort of rock, sort of, on their high horse kind of thing. I mean, again, Emerson, Lake and Palmer is probably a good example of that, because they're so just that. They're pompous. I mean, a bunch of guys thinking that, they were, on their, better than everybody else, riding high, of course, in the early 70s with those public, the albums that are well known, Brain, Salad Surgery, and Trilogy and stuff like that a little bit later on.
Mussorgsky.
Pictures in an Exhibition.
Yeah. I love that. What a great name for a piece from Mussorgsky, classical name. Yeah. If you had to pick one Prog record as the epitome, the greatest Prog record of all time, what would it be?
Shit, I don't know. I mean, it would probably be In the Court of the Crimson King.
What would yours be?
I was going to say the same thing.
I would say the same thing. Now, is Procol Harum a Prog band?
In their own right, they are. But
In Hell 'Twas I.
What?
In Hell, God, these guys don't know. You guys are younger than me a little bit.
I don't
In Hell 'Twas I, almost the entire side of Procol Harum's Shine On Brightly album. It's a great piece of music. You got the great Matthew Fisher keyboards. You got Robin Trower on guitar. You got the great lyrics of Keith Reed, who just passed away this past year. Do you smell smoke? Someone's barbecuing. Someone's barbecuing. Okay.
That's almost as bad as a cigar, you would think, right?
Yeah, it is like a
Except
cigar.
now you can't do a cigar.
Okay.
Those guys always have. I always think they're, they have my vote.
It may still be the case. I mean, you can't. You put out a record, you got to go tour to support it, right? That's almost expected and maybe demanded by the record label.
So we had a little video issue. I taped a whole really amazing conversation, and it turned out it didn't record any of it. So what are you making?
Get a good view of this.
It looks like stem and
Well,
twigs and seeds.
Well, I'm going to say I made a mistake. So this is popcorn and some chips. And the mistake I made was I thought I was putting it in a bowl, but really it's a sieve, so it's all over my.
This is like a stoner film, and we're not
No,
stoned.
we're not.
We're not.
Definitely.
Okay.
It's not like
No,
a
we're
stoner
not.
film.
Let me ask you this, guys. Oh, you're gonna go. Okay.
I was gonna. But
Okay, you
guys
come
keep
back.
going.
We'll talk.
Yeah, you
Okay, I'm
keep
going
going.
to talk to you about pretentious music. Can you name an artist who's pretentious?
Actually, I think I just came up with one. Elton John's pretty pretentious.
No.
You don't
No.
think so?
No.
Okay.
Now, there's a difference between pretentious, egotistical. You know, if you're a performer, if you're an actor, a musician, even making the YouTube videos like this, you know, people say, "Oh, that guy's got such an ego." You got to have a friggin' ego if you're gonna put yourself on video, if you're gonna put yourself out there, if you're gonna be theatrical
Yeah,
at
you
any
have to
point.
you have to expect that people will cut you down, make fun of you, say disparaging things about you all the time. But yeah, you wouldn't give a shit about any of that
Okay,
kind of
so
stuff,
pretentious
right? I mean,
is David Byrne pretentious?
he can be.
Because think about David Byrne. I love David Byrne,
It's not. Yeah, it's
but
not. I don't-
he almost seems like he's above the other three talking heads.
You know,
I mean, that's a personal. He won't even be in the same room with them, I don't think.
something happened, and I don't really know the full history. And I've kind of been trying to read, but I really can't comment on it. I know there was a lot of acrimony when they broke up, which, you know, I don't think that's the same. It may be due to somebody having an inflated ego. I don't know.
Because he seems like the artiste, the auteur, where you got Tina Weymouth and you got
Chris Franz,
and you got Jerry Harrison, who played also with the
Modern Lovers.
Modern Lovers, you know.
Yeah, I think they had a much more modest idea about maybe what they wanted versus what his sort of artistic ideals were.
And
what
bringing
his
all his
were.
other musicians
Right.
to
I mean,
their
they expanded their band.
yeah.
the world music thing, all that he was doing
Yeah.
on top of that. I mean, it was
Now is Robert Fripp pretentious?
you know, I mean,
I mean, he's talented as hell.
Right.
Is he over? Okay, here's the thing. Is he too talented where his music is so cerebral and so intense that there's no soul in it? I don't know that question. I'm dying to see the documentary on King Crimson. I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen that either.
his technique is really good.
Yeah.
He's a great player. Like, you know.
I mean, I think I don't think ego is a bad thing. I think honestly, weak ego is worse. Hyper ego is probably, but is not great. But weak ego may be even worse. So I think
No narcissism.
insecurity, right? Insecurity is maybe even worse than ego. I think you have to have a strong ego to do anything creative and new and really that represents you, right?
Is Captain Beefheart pretentious? Was he pretentious?
I wouldn't call it pretentious. I mean, again,
Zappa was
cantankerous.
pretentious.
Zappa's pretentious?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But not necessarily
And pretentious
in a
doesn't have
bad
to be a
way.
negative.
No, I'm not saying that isn't in a bad way, but he would definitely put things out there, in a way that he knew would cause people a lot of, consternation. But that's his MO, right? He was always like that. So you could just say that's who he was, and he'd give it, he'd say whatever he wanted to. In a lot of ways, that's a good thing, because as an example, in that note, with the PMRC back in the 80s, when he was challenging Tipper Gore and all them, he wasn't wrong when he said that. And when he said that Christians are trying to control everything and they want to control it all, he was kind of right, even though that's
Kind of still happening, isn't it?
yeah. I mean, it's not, that story hasn't changed. They want to control things. They want to throw money at stuff. They want to have the upper hand. Evangelicals as an example. So he called that out decades ago. Was he pretentious for calling it out in that way? He made a lot of people upset. Well, sometimes you got to make people upset to get your point across.
What about
to
Miles
make some
Davis? Is
change.
Miles Davis pretentious?
I don't think Miles was pretentious, and I'm not sure I would say Zappa was pretentious. I mean, I think creative people, push the boundaries of what they push the boundaries of what we're used to, and that enables other people to also be creative. I mean, when you have somebody that does something that is truly new and that has not been done, and that again expands the boundaries, it really is startling, and it is uncomfortable to some people, and yet you then have people that follow behind them, because now what they're doing is acceptable and normal, and suddenly there's this new space that, oh, God, we can do this now. And so, I think Miles did that. I think Zappa did that. Again, expressing yourself and knowing what you want to do, and having the ego and the talent and the energy to make it happen.
Push the boundaries.
Push the boundaries. That's not pretentious.
Now, we talked about self-indulgent. 1968, a month before the White Album came out, John Lennon puts out 2 versions. Apple and EMI refuses to put it out. Tetragrammaton puts it out, 2 versions, and then next year, what is it? Unfinished Music, and then of course the Wedding Album. Pretentious, self-indulgent. John and Yoko, like fucking and talking and running and yelling, and what about those? Just these like avant-garde, not even avant-garde, but like surreal tapes and recordings. What do you think of that?
I love those records. I love the fact that
you love them.
Well, I love the fact that they exist, right? But
okay, fair enough.
Again, I think John Lennon. I think there were not. There are mistakes that people, I think, that artists make at times that don't succeed on an artistic level. And I'm not sure that those records really necessarily pushed the boundaries and opened up space for anybody to do, to do similar work or work that kind of follows that path. I at times, there's this idiosyncrasy that artists may follow, that they think is what they want to do, and I think what happened in the Beatles' case a little bit, and in John Lennon's in particular, was there was nobody there to kind of rein him in a little, or at least kind of shepherd him and guide him and say, is this really what you want to do? And truthfully,
it was like therapy, though, wasn't it? Like therapy for him.
Well, he probably needed it, right?
Of course,
and he was going through Primal Scream,
Arthur Janoff therapy, which on Plastic Ono Band, the album
used it, right?
The
and there, it's wonderful. There,
right.
it really energizes.
Well, he channels it musically there,
yeah,
opposed to just
right.
screwing around.
Right, and I think, I don't think he would have probably listened to anybody that said, I'm just guessing in that moment. I'm not sure he would have listened to anybody that said, is this really what you want to do?
One of the most pretentious albums in the world is Rick Wakeman's Journey to the Center of the Earth. And maybe,
is that the one where he's on the keyboard?
I know. I think it's a live thing. And even Six Wives or Eighth Wives of Henry VIII, I think that's pretty pretentious.
Well, then maybe I was proved wrong. He is the pretentious one, not not the other members of Yes or Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Although, I what I do love, and this is the last thing I'm gonna say. We're gonna close this out. I love Rick Wakeman's playing on David Bowie's Hunky Dory, playing piano, not over the top organ and all that multi-keyboard thing. His piano playing on Hunky Dory, David Bowie's album, is fantastic. Okay, Mazzy loves you. Thanks for watching. This is Pretentious Conversation. This is kind of like our version of My Dinner with Andre. If you know what I'm talking about, this is it. Mazzy loves you. Do you like him, Dave?
I think so.